Yeah, that is right. David Karn is here once again, the host of Back 40 Beer Company's Beer Before Breakfast. Who are we cooking with today, David?
Joe, we're cooking with Chef Billy Thompson from Union in downtown Mobile. He's got, as you can see, an array of fine ingredients and 2 Back 40 beers, Kudzu Porter and Naked Pig Pale Ale.
All right, Billy, welcome to Studio 10. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Very excited to be cooking with Back 40 beer. So tell us, what did you first start to create when you're like, I got to come up with some sort of fantastic creation using this beer? What was your process like?
Well, duck's usually a game meat. Well, it can't be game, it's dark meat. So I used porter because it's dark. When you make a brine, it'll help. When you roast it, it helps to get moisture and flavor with the salt and all the flavorings you add to it, plus of course, the beer.
Yeah, the beer always adds some fantastic flavor to anything. So, what are the first steps in the process here? What ingredients are we going to use today? Tell us how we're going to get this thing started.
Okay, the first step, you have a fresh or a thawed duck. You want to brine it for 24 hours. And it has molasses, bay leaf, thyme, the kudzu.
Yeah, we're just going to add, always got to just add more to that, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
And it, sugar, molasses, have root beer in there also. Peppercorns.
I wondered what I was smelling. That was the root beer too, because everything smells so good. But now that you say that, I can distinctly pick out the hint of root beer. Very cool.
And then after it's 24 hours, you pull it out, rinse it, and then you can smoke it, which I did. I smoked it, or you can roast it. And the concept with the naked pig is to make a vinegar. You know how you mop this in the South? They mop the barbecues. So I made a vinegar base with the beer and vinegar, sugar, rosemary, and bay leaf. And that's as it's smoking. You can baste it with the duck as it's going in the smoker. Sure.
So you're not just using the Back 40 beer here just from time to time. You're involving it in pretty much every step of the process.
That's right, yeah. Joe. And one thing I want to point out here too, you know, the last couple of segments we've focused on Alabama Gulf Seafood and our partnership with them on our food pairings on the sides of our beers. Well, these are 2 of our beers that do not feature the Alabama Gulf Seafood logo.
Okay.
So we wanted to mix it up a little bit today, show you the variety of dishes that you could cook with our beers, and Billy has done a fantastic job here.
Yeah, and I see there's some beers that are kind of left over too. What do you do with those?
Oh, we drink them.
Oh, that's what you do with those. All right, so we're getting the process started here. We're going to talk a lot more about Back 40 Beer Company throughout the show this morning and continue cooking this. What's our next step here in the process?
Our next step, I'll assemble a flatbread, well, the next step you would make the dough, which I have here, which I already made out pre-baked. So I could easier, you can either do it in the morning or the day ahead. And I'll just make it, assemble it.
Preparation always makes things go faster. Yeah. So we've got the dough ready to go. We've got this ready to go. We're going to come back and put it together, and then we put it in the oven. All right, so that's the plan for the rest of the morning, Danny.
Welcome back to Studio 10. We're here in our great kitchen set with David Karn from Back 40 Beer Company's Beer Before Breakfast. All right, David, what are we going to do now?
Well, Danny, first of all, I'm here with Chef Billy Thompson with Union in downtown Mobile, and he's prepared a fantastic smoked duck flatbread recipe.
Yummy.
Using kudzu porter in the brine and naked pig infused in the vinegar. He's going to finish off preparing the flatbread itself and pop it in the oven. While he's getting ready to do that, I'm going to have a little fun myself.
Let's do it.
And what we've been doing here is last time actually I made a breakfast beer cocktail. I'm going to make another one this morning, and I'm actually going to use coffee. So our kudzu porter is, well, it's a classic porter recipe. It's got a nice little hop character to it, so there is some bitterness to it, but the key here is the roasted malts. That's why it has its dark flavor, or its dark color, is because of the roasting process for the malts. So you get some chocolatey notes, you get some smoky notes from there. Works really well with coffee. So what I've done here is I have steeped water and coffee overnight in a French press. You can do this in your coffee pot if you want, but you just want to steep them overnight in the cold water. We're not heating it up so that I can make my iced coffee and not have it melt all over the place. So I'm just going to press the French press filter here down and then pour my coffee. I like to do a little bit more of the beer than the coffee for obvious reasons. And then you can also, now this is a cold drink, so you don't want to just go tossing your standard sweeteners in that you would in a hot cup of coffee.
Okay.
So you can use some simple syrup to sweeten it up if you want to, and you can even toss in a little bit of cream, a little bit of half and half, add that little color to it. I like my coffee black, but for entertainment purposes and the camera here, we're gonna go all out and sweeten it up a little bit.
All right.
So I'm gonna enjoy this, and while Billy does the hard work over here.
Okay, this is very new to me. I'm very glad that you did this because I've never heard of a coffee drink with beer in it. So I'm glad you did that. Okay.
Well, we're calling it kudzu iced coffee.
Okay.
So you just go around and ask everybody for that. They're not gonna know what you're talking about.
All right.
We'll get them there.
Okay. So what are we going to do with this flatbread?
First, well, after you, the dough's rolled out, par baked, and plus the duck is cool that we broned earlier and roasted or smoked. And the duck meat is picked, and first I have a roasted garlic aioli, which is a mayo make, but it's tons of roasted garlic in it.
Okay.
Just spread on the bottom of the flatbread of the dough. It's par baked. I have roasted tomatoes, and just kind of sort of like a pizza, I'd say.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah,
Just like making a pizza.
Exactly.
You got lots of colorful toppings. I like that too. I love it when food is pretty. I say that a lot, and this looks like it's going to be a pretty dish.
Parsley, green onions, goat cheese goes on also, and just sporadically anywhere. I mean, it's up to you to put more or less. Except, and the
However
last thing
you want to make it.
Yeah, exactly. And the last thing I do is the duck on top.
Now, once you get all of this on, you're going to put it in the oven, and
Yep.
that's it?
That's it.
Simple?
It's pretty
easy?
simple, yeah.
Yeah.
Really easy.
So we're going to put this recipe on our website so you guys can try to make it at home. It's going to be on fox10tv.com under the Studio 10 tab, and we're going to let you continue to finish your
Kudzu iced coffee.
Iced coffee.
Would you like me to make you one, Danny? I'm sure your producer may have an issue with that. but
Well,
hey.
we'll talk about that.
That's right.
After we toss it out.
That's right. Cheers.
Back in our Studio 10 kitchen with David Karn, host of Back 40 Beer Company's Beer Before Breakfast, and he's going to town. What are you doing here, David?
Well, Joe, I'm going to make you one of my fancy little beer cocktails here.
Okay, then.
Billy's going to plate us up the final smoked duck flatbread, and we're just going to kind of chat a little bit about beer as a food ingredient, what we're doing here, while we get ready to enjoy some awesome
Yeah,
some
real
awesome food
quickly,
here.
I want to see if we can get a camera 7 maybe shot of that. That looks awesome, fresh out of the oven. That just looks fantastic. Nice work there. So we're going to try that up when that cools down.
Yep.
Back to what you're doing over here. And while you do that, talk to me a little bit about cooking with beer, because I know a lot of people have done it before, but they don't know all the details and what all goes into it.
Right. Well, beer is a very it's an excellent food ingredient, and in fact, we incorporate a lot of things into our beer that you incorporate into standard food recipes. You know, we have grain as our base. Obviously, there's not actually grain in the beer, but the spent grain from our brews actually goes to feed cattle, and they love it. And it could go to feed us. A lot of restaurants will make spent grain dough and make pizzas. We have some excellent spent grain pretzels that we serve occasionally in the tap room at the brewery.
Sounds good.
But the point here is that beer is complex, even more complex than wine when it comes to using it as a food ingredient. You got the hearty grain base, and then you got the spices and a little bitterness from hops, and then also some sweetness from other spices, and even some nutty notes from, for example, our Truck Stop Honey is a good example. That one is a great beer to use with all sorts of dishes. Our Kudzu Porter, as I was saying earlier, it's a great beer because it's got the chocolatey and smoky notes to it from the roasted malts.
Yeah, and when you cook with beer, you add some of those flavors into it as well, but it's also not overpowering. It just adds that right extra kick to make a fantastic dish.
That's right. That's right. And what Billy's done here with the smoked duck flatbread is just an excellent example of using kudzu for the brine and then naked pig for the vinegar, infusing the beer into the vinegar, and it really enhances the dish on a number of levels. Billy, you want to talk about what you got plated up here?
Oh yeah, it's the finished product. It's I just roast it up till the cheese is melted and the crust is hard, just like a pizza. Pull it out and cut it in whatever size you want for 8 people. And just fork.
Tell us a little bit about Union, too, while we have you here, Billy.
Oh, Union's a steakhouse and burgers. It's I made the menu sort of like your old school New York steakhouse. It has a feel when you go in it, like all the sides separate, asparagus and green beans, and all the steaks are a la carte.
Pretty cool. And where are you located at?
It's on Dolphin Street next to Liquid. Yeah, I'm not sure the address.
That's all the people need to know. They can find that.
Yeah.
I tell you what, let's cheers to this.
Cheers.
Let's try this out.
I didn't add any sweetener to yours. I used all the sweetness over here in mine, so I'm sorry. Maybe it may not be as sweet as you are there, Joe, but it'll work, huh?
I don't know how to respond to that. But I do know that this is delicious. A great breakfast beer drink for you this morning, and also a fantastic dish overall. The recipe for this is online. Beer before breakfast, cooking with Back 40 Beer Company. Guys, thank you so much for coming in today.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. All right. I'm going to take one more sip here. You want some, Danny?